We are undefeatable!
Hello Rivals fans and welcome back to the Rivals Report, the show that gets you up to speed on Rivals esports news in a nice bite-sized package. My name is Diatonic and this is the Rivals Report number 18 for the week of September 29th, 2025. On this week's report, eyes all across the world are on Ignite as Stage 2 is now underway in all regions. We've got a giant-sized Ignite special report for you, featuring highlights from the first week of NA matches, the second week of the EMEA group stage, and the first week of the Oceania group stage as well. We've also got a look at the new tournament series from the minds behind Battle of the Orgs, which made its debut over the past weekend. Well, Ignite season is in full swing now, with both the Americas and Oceania getting their group stage started this past week. The competition in NA has stepped up drastically since Stage 1, and some serious competition is brewing. With 4 invitations on the line to the upcoming Grand Finals LAN tournament at DreamHack Atlanta, teams are ready to lay everything on the line for a shot at glory. So who made it through week 1? The Americas group stage began with a showdown featuring one of the tournament favorites, Envy, up against the Ignite newcomers at Team Kiri. A quick 2-0 for Envy to begin their upper bracket conquest. Nemesis took on Dark Zero next, and though Dark Zero brought the likes of Rymazing and Korova to the team, Nemesis cleaned house 2-0 here. FlyQuest took on the new Fire Strays roster next, and while this match was closer than the previous two, it'd be FlyQuest notching a 2-0 win into their belt. And finally for Night 1, defending Stage 1 champs Sentinels took on the MRC Season 2 champs YFP. This was an incredibly close match, the only series going to Map 3 on this night, but Sentinels managed to make it out alive with a 2-1 victory. More Ignite debuts on Day 2 of the NA group stage as Extinction went head-to-head with the Console Kings busy at work. But Extinction would knock off the crown here, taking a 2-0 win. The new NA Rad roster, formerly known as Solaris, took on Intergalactic, the former Shroud X, and Rad would kick off their NA campaign with a 2-0 win. 100 Thieves and Ilani Wind were back in action next in a surprising 3-map series that the Thieves would manage to win 2-1. And rounding out Day 2, Odyssey, formerly known as Ego Death, went up against Dreamland. This series would go all the way as well, but it'd be the debuting Dreamland that toppled Odyssey here 2-1. Day 3 opened with a heavy-hitter matchup between two potential tourney favorites, Envy and FlyQuest. While most expected Envy to blaze through all of Stage 2 unchecked, FlyQuest took them to task with a massive 2-1 win over the mid-season finals runners-up. Nemesis battled Sentinels next, but Sentinels kept their upper bracket hopes alive by 2-0ing them. Rad squared off with Dreamland in the third match, and Rad would take that one handily with a big 2-0 win. And in the last match of the night, 100 Thieves went head-to-head with Extinction, and Extinction put them through their paces, but the Thieves stayed in the upper bracket with a 2-1 victory. And so we reached Survival Sunday for NA, with 4 elimination matches lined up. Dark Zero opened things up against YFP, and though there were a few bright spots for the newcomer squad, it'd be Dark Zero staying alive with a 2-0. Team Kiri faced the Fire Strays in the second match, and faced the wrath of Super Gomez from start to finish, suffering a 2-0 loss at the hands of the Strays. Newcomers busy at work did battle with veteran Team Ilani Wind next, and after an intense 3-map back-and-forth clash, Busy at Work managed to walk away with the win. And finally, 2 Stage 1 competitors in Intergalactic and Odyssey went head-to-head. That match started with Odyssey in the driver's seat, but ended in a 2-1 win for Intergalactic, sending Odyssey home. The first week of America's action started hot and heavy, with some surprises, but there's still plenty more where that came from. The Americas teams will be back in action for Week 2 of the group stage starting Thursday at 6 p.m. on the official Rivals Twitch and YouTube channels, so don't miss it. Stage 2 in EMEA marched on this week, with some teams comfortably sitting in playoff positions while the rest of the field battled it out to advance to the next phase of the competition. With the field narrowing day by day in this region, who punched their ticket to playoffs and who's going home? Foot Esports was first at the plate to take on the Stage 1 champs Citadel and would fall victim to Citadel in a brutal 2-0 finish, sending them home. Next up was Alcancia taking on FaZe, and though Cancia have looked strong in this tournament, FaZe punched their playoff ticket with a 2-0 win. OG Seed took on Paradox in the next match, and OG were looking cleaner than ever, taking the win 2-0. Rounding out Day 5 was an intense final matchup between Ninja Creamy and Vice, the only 3-map series of the day. It was insanely close, but it'd be Vice emerging victorious after a wild final hold. With the 8 playoff teams decided, we moved on to deciding seeding from Day 2 of the second week of play. FaZe took on Vice first and put the hurt on Vice, taking a 2-0 win. Citadel and OG Seed squared off next, with Citadel walking away the winner of this one in a comfortable 2-0. We had a clash of the Titans next as Navi took on Virtus Pro, but Navi would give VP a thrashing and emerge unscathed with a 2-0 win. In the final matchup of the day, Insomnia challenged Chopped in what was by far the closest series of the day. It was an absolute war, and while Insomnia would force this series to go all the way, Chopped would take the win 2-1. Lower bracket finals were on deck for day 3, with Insomnia pitted against Citadel on the Group A side. Though Insomnia had put on an impressive performance throughout the group stage, taking on the defending Stage 1 champs was going to be a tall order no matter how you sliced it. But Citadel brought their best to bear here, trouncing Insomnia with a 3-0 win. On the Group B side of the bracket, FaZe were pitted against Virtus Pro in the lower bracket finals, yet another tough matchup. FaZe leapt out ahead with a 2-0 start, but VP clawed their way back into contention and completed a reverse sweep, ending the series 3-2. Day 8 now in total for the EMEA group stage, and the day of grand finals for both Group A and B. For the Group A finals, Chopper pitted in a rematch against Citadel, but this time a best of 5. And it'd be Citadel avenging their previous loss, though it'd take all 5 maps and extra rounds on the final to seal the deal. Navi and Virtus Pro were also getting their rematch opportunity in the Group B finals. Navi grabbed a somewhat convincing Celestial Husk from map 1, but from then on it was the VP show. They won 3 in a row to put the final nails in Navi's coffin, securing their first seed spot. And with that, the EMEA Stage 2 playoffs are officially confirmed, surprisingly with no teams going undefeated out of the group stage. From Group A, Citadel, Chopped, Insomnia, and OG Seed survived the split into playoffs. And over in Group B, Virtus Pro, Navi, FaZe, and Vice all make it through the cutoff. EMEA's certainly been making a case for itself as the most competitive region in Rivals this stage, with so many big ticket teams making it through. Get ready for an intense bout of playoffs as well, as 8 teams enter, but only 3 will earn the coveted invites to the grand finals in Atlanta. And to round out our Ignite news for this week, the teams from Down Under were back in action as well, as Stage 2 kicked off for Oceania. 8 teams entered into the round-robin group stage, a mix of old and new faces mixing and clashing, all in pursuit of a lone invite to the Grand Finals tournament at DreamHack Atlanta in late October. Let's take a peek at how the first week of Oceania competition went down. Opening day started off with a match between returners Kanga Esports and newcomers Fury. Though they grabbed a map in their first outing, it'd be Kanga Esports winning the Stage 2 opener with a 2-1 victory. Old versus new once again as the defending Stage 1 champs Ground Zero took on Brainstorm Esports. Though Ground Zero are mustering a new roster this stage, they won handily with a 2-0 shutout to start their campaign. And in the final clash of veteran versus newcomer, the Vicious battled Vulcan Red, but in the first upset of OCE Stage 2, Vulcan Red would win 2-0 after some insane defensive plays on Yggdrasil Path. Ground Zero kept the ball rolling on day 2 up against Exodia, a matchup they'd win with a convincing 2-0. The Vicious were back up to the plate as well, up against Fury this time in a blisteringly close match. It'd take the whole series to decide, but Fury would eventually pick up their first Ignite win here, toppling VC 2-1. And for the final matchup of day 2, the former Ground Zero roster made their Ignite debut as Chopper Mag up against Brainstorm Esports. Chopper Mag would pick things up right where they left off in Stage 1, snagging a solid 2-0 win for themselves here. Day 3 started off with a big ticket rematch as Kanga Esports took on the Vicious, who eliminated Kanga from the Stage 1 playoffs during lower bracket finals. Kanga would get their revenge here, but not without taking a few lumps as they defeat VC 2-1. Chopper Mag were back once again, this time taking on the likes of Exodia. This too would just be a brief hurdle for them, overcoming Exodia 2-0 and locking in their playoff position. The last match of the day was a battle of the newcomers, with Vulcan Red facing off with Fury. But Vulcan Red would punch their ticket to playoffs in their first Ignite outing here, taking the win 2-0. Day 4 started heavy with the drama, as Ground Zero were poised to take on Chopper Mag, the Ground Zero roster for Stage 1 and the mid-season finals. But Chopper Mag would remind GZ why the org hired them in the first place, locking in a 2-0 win to cement a 3-0 record overall. Kanga Esports battled Vulcan Red next, and Kanga showed why they were a playoff contender in Stage 1, winning 2-0. Brainstorm Esports and Exodia played out the final match of the Oceania group stage, with Exodia picking up a 2-0 win, their only win in the group stage. And with that, the Oceania Stage 2 playoffs are locked in. From Group A, Kanga Esports and Vulcan Red advance, edging out newcomers Fury and surprisingly taking out the Vicious. Over in Group B, Chopper Mag and Ground Zero will break out to the playoffs, while Exodia and Brainstorm Esports will head home. And that concludes the group stage of Oceania, with a mix of old and new faces entering the playoff bracket starting next week. As always, you'll be able to follow all the action from Down Under from the official Rivals YouTube and Twitch channels. And finally this week, after the thrilling upset of multi-time Battle of the Orgs champs Cafe Rose by Outlast last week, the minds behind BOTO have debuted a brand new tournament series. Heavy is the crown, but even heavier is the payday. Welcome to the Battle of the Orgs CrownBreaker series. I was back in the booth for this tournament series debut, and there were some old and new faces bringing their all. We started the broadcast in round 2 in a matchup between veteran team Ether and a new team in the form of Zoomies. Though Zoomies is a new squad, it's filled with some familiar faces. The core of the team formerly known as Project Blue Lock. Ether started off strong on Krakoa for map 1, but Zoomies would slowly but surely catch up to them, eventually overtaking Ether and taking map 1 for themselves. They kept the ball rolling as we headed for Hall of Djalia next, but Zoomies would waste no time on this one. They cleared the map for themselves, then locked in an ironclad defense, stopping Ether just short of checkpoint 2. We moved on to a match between two teams yet to be featured on the Rivals Report, Tricksters GG versus the Beasts. In the match prior, Tricksters defeated last week's champions Outlast, so they came into this match hot. And they were nearly too hot for the Beasts to touch, as they went 0 to 100 on both points of Celestial Husk to snag a map 1 win. Hall of Djalia was up again for map 2, and Tricksters completed a nearly insurmountable defense on the first half, creating an easy layup for themselves as they switched sides. And in the first battle for the crown, Tricksters would have to take on Zoomies, who trounced Ultralight in their own semi-final matchup. Burden T'Challa was the opening battleground for this grand finals, and this map was quite a war between these two teams. It'd take all 3 points to decide, with Tricksters starting out strong in the first half. But Zoomies slowly caught up to them and would overtake them at the very end to secure map 1. We moved to Hall of Djalia for the final time tonight as the Tricksters were pushed to the edge of the cliff. Zoomies would complete one of the fastest convergence pushes I've ever seen, leaving over 3 minutes in their time bank after clearing the map. It was far too tall of an order for the Tricksters to complete, and Zoomies zoomed their way to the throne as they became the new CrownBreaker champions. Angad manages to take out Drillmaster. Spooky, though, onto Trapsy, and that is all she wrote. No overtime necessary. Tricksters offline, and the Zoomies will capture it 2-0 here with a big shutout on Hall of Djalia to wrap up the broadcast. Under this new CrownBreaker series, teams that go on a tournament win streak have the potential to earn an ever-growing prize pool that gets larger with each win. So the Zoomies take the crown and begin to write their legacy in this new series. Will they be able to pick up a second tournament win, or will a new CrownBreaker emerge and usurp them? Only time will tell, but be sure to tune into Battle of the Orgs every Saturday night to witness all the action. Link to their Discord is down in the description. Well, that's all for this week's Rivals Report. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on the latest in Marvel Rivals Esports. And be sure to follow me on other platforms including Twitch, X, and TikTok. I've been Diatonic, you've been amazing, and I'll see you in-game.